It was an abysmal first round of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs for Martin Truex Jr., but luckily the number 19 team has escaped, and now things reset for round 2. We'll talk about that next on NASCAR America Motormouths. Hey, Nate Ryan here with Parker Kligerman and Kyle Petty. And guys, Martin Truex Jr. managed to get out of the first round. It didn't really look like that was going to happen at one point, Parker. But now, round of 12 begins. Martin Truex Jr. is your regular season champion, and the points have reset. So my question to you is he now a championship favorite again, because all of the sins from the first 3 races have been absolved, essentially?
Well, I think he's a championship 4 threat for sure, right? And he has obviously a situation with the points that puts him in a great position to do just that, and get through these rounds. But I think, to me, when you have an upsetting couple races like that, you got to see if the race team can turn it around, right? Can they stop the bleeding a little bit? And that's sometimes it's out of your control. It's just circumstance, things like that. But it hurts race teams mentally, right? When they don't get the results, when they feel like things are going the wrong way and there's a slide happening and they can't stop it. So it's really going to be up to them to reset, refocus. I think Texas is a big opportunity for them. Obviously, I think the Roval is a big opportunity for him just in terms of his ability at road courses. But then, you have Talladega in this round. And that's one I would be worried about for the 19 team. So I would think, these next 2 races are really important. I think this team, if they can reset, come into this next round mentally like that last one didn't happen, then I think, yes, they are at the pointy end of being one of the favorites for the championship once again.
Yeah, listen, I agree. I think it's a head game at this point in time. It's how they recover from these first 3 races, because they did not play the first 3 races like a championship contender. They just weren't championship caliber. They weren't championship quality in anything they did. Even at Bristol, if we go back to that race, they showed no sign that they could compete with Denny Hamlin or Kyle Larson or some of the other teams. So I think it's in their head. They're going to have to come back. They're going to have to recover from this and say, okay, this is our playoffs. We reset right here. We go back to doing what we were doing as the playoffs began. We go back to leading races, to running up front, to having shots at winning a race. They can obviously make it to that last group of 4 when we get to Phoenix. But at this point in time, they're not one of my favorites to win the championship.
Well, let me ask both of you. We're in year 4 of Martin Truex Jr. with crew chief James Small. They've made the championship round in 2021. They missed the playoffs last year. And, to your point, KP, I'll start with you. It does seem like they've made maybe some uncharacteristic mistakes that you wouldn't expect out of a veteran team, a championship caliber team like this one that really the nucleus has been together since 2015, going back to the Furniture Row days. You just said they're not necessarily a championship 4 pick for you. Why do you think there have been these stumbles? Like what's happened for this team where it hasn't really translated from the regular season into the playoffs so far?
For me, it doesn't even translate into the regular season. They have hot and cold spells. That is what concerns me about this team. They communicate on a totally different level, in a totally different way. They scream at each other sometimes. And when you ask them about it, it's just like, well, that's just the way we talk to each other. And we understand what we're doing. So I don't understand everything that goes on within this team. But as I look at it, again, they get hot and then they get extremely cold. And these first 3 races of the playoffs, they've just been cold. They were hot for a period of time, but they were cold when the season started to some degree. So I think this is one of those cases of, as we look back on Smalls and Truex together, is which Smalls / Truex shows up in the playoffs, shows up for these last 7 races. Which group shows up? Is it the hot group or is it the cold group? And that's the way I've seen this team ever since Martin and James have gone together.
Well said, KP. But I think when I look at a race team in the NASCAR Cup Series that can have the success they have, then maybe have some of the cold streaks you described, to me, really what sticks out there is that the NASCAR Cup Series is really, really hard over 38 weeks. And therefore, I don't know many race teams that can hold up the level of performance that we expect from them 438 straight weeks. And so there's going to be lulls. There's going to be times, but if you can make your highs really high, like this 19 team does, they have races where they absolutely dominate. They dominate from off the truck into practice, into qualifying, and they go up there and they just dominate the race and win. And so I think that capability, though, is something that there's not a lot of teams that have that. They're one of the few out there. And therefore, no matter if they have cold streaks or not, I think that's natural in the course of a NASCAR Cup Series season. This team has an ability above others that when they find it, that's what makes them a championship threat. And so I guess that doesn't fully disagree with you in the sense that, yes, they have hot and cold streaks, but I think their ceiling is so high and is so above others that if they can even get remotely close to it, this is a team that absolutely contends for a championship again.
Thank you for watching NASCAR America Motormouths, presented by Toyota.
Hi, I'm Parker Kligerman. For more access like this from Pit Road, be sure to click and subscribe to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube channel.